Hey everybody, it's Dr. Mark. How you doing all? I'm excited to talk to you today about something that I think has a lot of promise in the field of longevity and health optimization. And it's something I've been using for quite a while, which was something I first discovered a number of years ago. And was sort of amazed at the research around this particular compound that's found in nature that is kind of a brand new discovery around what compounds naturally occur in nature that can regulate our biology, reduce inflammation, improve longevity, and help our bodies clean up all the mess that we make of it all the time. So I think I'm going to invite on the founder, the co-founder, and the CEO of a company called Seraphina Therapeutics, Stephanie Venn-Watson, who I've talked to many times, and I've looked at her research, and there's just an abundant amount of research on this compound we're going to talk about today called C15. And it stands for where the chemical structure of this particular fat is. And it's the first new essential fatty acid that we really discovered since the omega-3s. And I'm so excited to talk to you about it. And I'm going to invite her on now and see if I can get her on to talk about this incredible new compound. Let's see. Stephanie has worked with dolphins and worked with all these animals and discovered this incredible longevity compounds that have been actually now tested against some of the major compounds that are being looked at for longevity, including, hey, Stephanie, how's it going?
Hi. Hi,
Good to
Mark. How
see
you
you.
doing?
Great. I'm so excited to talk to you today. And I think that we're in an amazing moment of discovery around natural compounds or even prescription compounds that can help us regulate our biology, deal with some of the stresses of modern life, the inflammatory triggers we have, and the sort of degradation that happens as we get older. We've talked before about this incredible compound called fatty 15 or C15. And I want to sort of dive in with you because this is a pretty radical new discovery that we've only had in the last few years that you've been instrumental in. And you kind of told me the story of how you sort of discovered this working with dolphins, with the Navy SEALs. It's kind of a great story. So how did you first come kind of understand what is fatty 15 and why is it important and why should we care about it?
Yeah, absolutely. So great to be here. Great to see you. So C15 is the first essential fatty acid to be discovered since omega-3, which was over 90 years ago, right? And
Wow.
so a lot of work has been done with C15 now, and we now know that it works at the cellular level, so it helps protect our cells. And by doing that, it's laddering up to being able to help protect our whole body health. And this is especially being focused on our metabolic, liver, heart, and immune health. And, Mark, what's really important, the science that's emerging is supporting that nutritional C15 deficiencies
Yeah.
may actually be driving this rise in type 2 diabetes, heart disease, fatty liver disease. The good news is that nutritional deficiencies, right, when we think like of scurvy and vitamin C and rickets and vitamin D, nutritional deficiencies are fixable.
Yeah, that's amazing. So, for people to understand, we have saturated fatty acids. We have many fatty acids as part of our biology, and C15 just stands for the chemical structure, and fatty 15 just is a way of talking about it. But essentially, I measure it when I look at my essential fatty acid analysis. I see C15, and I often see it's very low in people. So, where did it come from? Why are we low in it? What does it do to the body? And so, what happened that we used to have this and now we don't?
Yeah, absolutely. So we've undergone a 40-year experiment of taking C15 out of our diet. So our primary source of C15 is whole dairy fat.
Wow.
And, right. And as you know, we've taken dairy fat out of our
Low fat
diets.
everything, low
But
fat everything, right? Low fat
exactly.
ice
I mean,
cream, low fat milk.
I remember moving to that, the milky, watery blue milk back in the 1970s. So I was definitely part of that. So as we've moved away from whole fat dairy, we've moved to plant-based milks, which have no C15 in them.
Yeah.
Additionally, as we get older, our C15 levels go down. So for all these reasons, population-wide C15 levels have been decreasing, which is what you're seeing in the
Yeah.
clinics.
Yeah.
You know.
It's really true. So basically, took it out of all the milk that we used to get it from. But can you get enough from if you're drinking whole fat milk or whole fat yogurt or whole fat cheese? Do you get enough of this still?
Yeah, it's a good question. So there are a couple things to keep in mind. The first is that milk and dairy isn't what it used to be, where we now know that when cows are fed corn, they have less C15 in their milk than if they're fed grass. And even different types of grass can dictate how much C15 is in their milk. So there's that. Probably more important importantly is an understanding that, while dairy fat has 1 to 3% of C15 in it, it has much higher levels, like we're talking like 30 to 40% of pro-inflammatory even chain saturated fatty acids like C16 and 18. So there are a couple studies recently came out. One is from Bishop et al. Last year. They took a mouse model of fatty liver disease and type 2 diabetes, and they gave mice C15. They got better, so lower insulin, glucose, better liver health. They then gave it milk fat, and they got worse. So the fat disease got worse, inflammation went up, and they attributed that to C16. So we're seeing a lot of studies like this showing that ideally we want pure C15, which is why we worked with the Navy, right, to develop pure C15, none of the bad saturated fats, just the good, to be able to, no cows, no calories needed for fatty 15.
So you're saying basically is that our dairy now is different than it used to be, but even if we eat dairy, it comes with a lot of other baggage, which makes us more inflamed and sort of counteracts some of the effects of the C15. So can you talk about the mechanisms and the science around how this works and what the discoveries have been? Because there's a website that you have that I really dug into that it really is deep in the science. Maybe share that website link and then talk about some of the incredible science that we have around this, which was sort of staggering to me. I hadn't really heard about it. It was, usually I'm pretty up to date on things. And a few years ago when you introduced this to me, I was like, wow, this is a whole new way of thinking about looking at our regulation of our biological systems using a different fatty acid.
Yeah, it's amazing, Mark. We still have so much to learn, right? So, which is nice because discovery is always happening. So with C15, it works on multiple levels, what's called a pleiotropic nutrient. So its job at the cellular level is that it helps to physically strengthen our cell membranes. So it is a sturdy saturated fat. Our cell membranes are made of fats. And so the more stable the fats in that cell membrane, not only the healthier the cell, but there's this really cool theory called the cell membrane pacemaker theory of aging, which is the more stable our cells, the longer a mammalian species lives. It actually helps define and describe why we live longer than a mouse. So it's pretty cool to tap into that. Additionally, we know that C15 repairs mitochondrial function, right? The powerhouses of our cells to keep our cellular energy working. And it also has key signaling capabilities with regard to it activates PPAR alpha delta, AMPK, it inhibits mTOR. So as you have in your book, right, this is really the heart of the human longevity pathway. So it's really, we've been meant to have C15 all along. Nature has evolved for us to use C15 over millions of evolutionary years to help us live longer and healthier.
Yeah, I just want to unpack what you said because it's so important. We're looking always at these molecules that we could use to upregulate our embedded pathways that keep us healthy. Because we have a repair system that's built into us. When you cut your skin, it repairs. How does it do that? Well, it knows what to do. You have that in your system, in your cells. It's designed to extend your life, to optimize your health, to reduce chronic disease. And we screw it up by how we live, by our inflammatory diet, by environmental toxins, by stresses. And what you're talking about is these couple of, I call them longevity switches. I talked about in my book, but mTOR is something that we inhibit with drugs like rapamycin to actually increase something called autophagy, which is cellular cleanup. AMPK is what people are taking, and by the way, rapamycin is what inhibits AMPK as well. I mean, mTOR as well, but it turns out that maybe fatty 15 works a little bit better. And there's an interesting trial, which I'd love you to talk about, which showed that. And then metformin, which is being studied for longevity. I've had Nir Barzilai on the podcast, and he's going to be coming up soon in our schedule. And he, studying metformin and longevity, but it also works in the same mechanism as fatty 15, which is, you mentioned AMPK, which is another one of the longevity switches that's embedded in our system to reduce inflammation, to optimize our mitochondria, to improve our overall health, improve our metabolism, blood sugar. So we know at a mechanistic level how this works with our bodies. And I always love compounds that work with our bodies rather than against our bodies. And that's what's so great about fatty 15. And I think that there's some interesting studies. I'd love you to talk about the Mediterranean study and also a little bit about the sort of longevity pathway study that was done with, looking at 12 different cell systems that mimic disease and 148 different biomarkers and measuring its effectiveness against other leading longevity compounds like rapamycin or metformin or acarbose.
Yeah, Absolutely. So with the clinical trial, which we didn't know about, it's always we're getting delight and surprised every few weeks with papers coming out. You know, the world is now working on C15. So prestigious universities, institutions throughout the world are now turning their attention to C15. So it's been really exciting to see that science grow. One of
This
those
is
studies.
independent science of you. This is not the company Fatty 15 doing this. This is just independent scientists, right?
Yeah, exactly, which is wonderful. And so this latest clinical trial, it was a randomized controlled clinical trial done by a team in Singapore, and they had 90 women with fatty liver disease, and they divided them out into three groups. And so the first group, they gave a low calorie diet, so between 1,000 to 1,500 calories a day, which is great. But I couldn't survive on 1,000 calories and be
Me
super
neither. I'd be
cranky.
very hangry. I'd be
Yeah,
very
angry.
hangry. Not so much
Yeah,
fun.
my family wouldn't allow that to happen. So that was the first group. The second group had the low calorie diet plus following Mediterranean diet guidelines. And then the third group was low calories Mediterranean diet plus C15 supplementation. So this is a big ask, right? Because this low calorie plus Mediterranean diet, of course, had lots of good benefits, better liver health, lower glucose, some body weight loss. And so what was amazing was in this third group, by adding the C15 supplementation, it had all those benefits plus lower LDL cholesterol, improved gut microbiome, which included the growth of this bacteria called
Yeah.
Bifidobacterium adolescentis, which has been shown to increase longevity.
Wow.
Super exciting. And then when comparing the C15 supplement group to the low calorie group, there was a C15 supplemented group also had lower total body fat, including central adiposity.
Wow. So it did better even than the low calorie groups when it was just combined with a Mediterranean diet. That's crazy.
Exactly.
That's
So
pretty crazy. Yeah.
I think it's all of this just speaks to the essentiality of it all, and getting to, Mark, like you mentioned, our latest study that we did with Dr. Nick Shork, the head of NIH's Longevity Consortium, where, Nick came, he's like, gosh, because with all this science, it's C15's feeling like a geroprotector, which is like the holy grail of healthy aging,
Yeah.
right? A molecule that can delay the onset of chronic diseases so we can live healthier and longer. And like you spoke to, we did extensive studies. We were able to compare against rapamycin, metformin, and icarbose, and we were able to show that C15 had the most clinically relevant dose-dependent benefits. And among those benefits, right, listed things that we care about, right? Anti-inflammatory, anti-cancer, anti-fibrotic, even
Yeah.
antimicrobial. And when you start looking at all those properties, it's starting to look a heck of a lot like rapamycin, right? Which is the leading longevity drug. So I think it all comes back to we didn't have to go to Easter Island, to find a rare bacteria that makes rapamycin. It's been here in front of us all along, what every mammal gets at birth.
But the problem with rapamycin is that it's still a medication that potentially has downsides, side effects, and there are lots of ways to take it every other week or every week or different kind of dosing schedules to try to reduce the effect, or having rapamycin analogs that might not have some of the immune suppressing effects. But Fatty 15, it doesn't have that because it's a natural compound. It doesn't have these downstream negative effects. Is that right?
That's right. It's been extraordinarily safe. And again, you're getting to the point where it is naturally in, mom's breast milk. Like it's in human milk. It is meant to be given to mammals to help support, again, these essential nutrients that we need, not only in early years of development, but now we're increasingly understand how can we slow the rate at which we age as we get older. And C15 is, falling into all of those
It's really
requirements.
quite amazing. And people can go to discover C15.com, right? And they can read all the science about it. It's like it's a rabbit hole I went down once, and I was like, wow, this is amazing. Because it's really looking at how do we use molecules, natural molecules, to regulate our biology. We do that all the time with phytochemicals in our diet, and fats in our diet. Omega 3s, for example, are really critical as well. But how does this compare to omega 3s? People still need to take your omega 3s. Is this different?
Yeah.
What people are asking on the chat, like what is actually the deal here with omega 3s and fatty 15?
C15 is meeting the criteria of an essential fatty acid, right? The other, which means our bodies need certain levels of it to just maintain our baseline health. And if we don't have those levels, our bodies, our cells start falling apart.
Yeah.
The prior two essential fatty acids were an omega-3 and omega-6. So what we're learning, and that was, it was 1929 and 1930. So it's been a while since we made these discoveries.
100 years since we discovered the benefits of it.
Right, we're coming up on 100 years. So, and so a lot of studies, a lot of science has been able to be done on omega-3s. And I think, Mark, where we're landing, the science world, is that omega-3s are important to our health. They've never identified a nutritional deficiency syndrome of omega-3s, which is interesting, but that they are important to our health. The best way to get them is probably through our diet. And it's just about making sure that the quality of omega-3s that are taken is good, just because of the risk of lipid peroxidation in certain types of supplements, of omega-3 supplements.
Meaning if it's not a high quality supplement, it can go rancid, and that has a bad effect on your body. But you can get good quality omega-3s. So you're saying you probably need both omega-3s and the fatty 15.
Yeah, exactly. Omega-3s ideally through a food source. And so sardines, understanding
everybody.
that.
Sardines, herring, mackerel.
Exactly. So, and dolphins, right? Dolphins eat, all the whole parts of fish. But understanding that, we did, just like we did with the healthy aging and with the anti-aging molecules, we did that same study with comparing C15, fatty 15 to pure omega-3. And we chose that because, VSEPA, the purified EPA prescription, is probably the best documented effects, even though I know it's coming with its own questions for the study, but it's pretty strong. So when we compared fatty 15, C15 to pure omega-3, it had all the benefits of omega-3 plus more. In fact, it had 36 cellular benefits, 3 times more than omega-3. So if you're going to, if you had to choose one or the other, or you were having problems with omega-3s, because of the gut upset or fishy burps or the pill sizes, more and more studies are supporting that C15 is serving as this essential fatty acid that is also not an oil stable. It's actually resistant against peroxidation, both in the bottle and our cells.
Yeah, because it's more stable, saturated fat. That's
exactly.
Like butter. Things less likely to go rancid than omega-3s. Yeah. So what about the, prescription of this? Who should take it? How much should you take? What are people seeing when they're starting to use it?
Yeah, so we have now, so the dose that we have, it really is a tiny pill of powder a day. It's 100 milligram dose. And so who should be taking fatty 15 as an essential fatty acid? The answer is like all mammals, at least the long-lived mammals, need a certain amount of C15 in their diet. We have formulated this 100 milligrams because all of us are sitting on some level of C15. So this is truly serving as a supplement to get us above those levels. And so we have studies have come out, the ones that are upcoming as a teaser, that are supporting that there is a nutritional deficiency threshold. So we need to get above like this 5 micrograms per mil, and below that, Mark, we believe it's going to end up being defined as a nutritional deficiency. So this 100 milligrams for most people will get them up and above out of that territory. And then we are seeing linear increases with more, but yeah, I think it's starting place.
You take more though, in that.
Up to 2. I take 2 capsules a day, and because as soon as menopause hit and my joints started hurting and I stopped sleeping as well, I went to 2, and it fixed the problem for me, which was great. So to that point, fatty 15 is, well, it's for all. It's best for people who are feeling the pain points of aging. We age because our cells do. Fatty 15 goes in and helps fixes our cells where they're broken. And we all age in different ways. And so it's really been so rewarding hearing different people's journey about what fatty 15 is doing for them. But understanding that it works at the cellular level, some of the most enthusiastic responses we get, which are all consistent with the science, are of an essential fatty acid, are thicker, fuller hair. My hair was falling out. My poor husband was going to buy Drano every month. I was stopping up the Yeah, and so now it's my hair is nice and thick and healthy. It's helps with healthier skin, and then on the inside, like our favorite feedback that we're getting from people every day is when they go to their doctor, they get their blood checkup, Mark, and they're saying this is the best blood work I've ever had, and my doctor's
Wow.
saying, "What are you doing?" So it's working, which is go science, go
So
dolphins.
basically inflammatory markers, lipid markers, metabolic markers, all the things that we know are important as we age. So yeah, C15 is the same as fatty 15. It's just a chemical name for it, C15. Fatty 15 is more of the sort of sort of brand name of it. And I think it's pretty cool. I take it. I've been taking it for a while. I've noticed also improvements in my health, and I think it's just one of those key things we need to be thinking about. How do we optimize all of our nutritional status? And where can people find more about this?
Sure. So you can visit fatty15.com. That's where you can find all the information about the product. And then, Mark, like you kindly shared, discoverc15.com is where all the science is. And we just keep it updated because, like we say, every few weeks, there's a whole new study coming out from, again, independent groups from throughout the world. So
Yeah.
we'll continue to share all the latest and greatest there.
Amazing. So basically, everybody, just to summarize, we have times in medicine where we discover something new, and this science around C15, fatty 15, has really been relatively new in understanding its important essential role in our health as part of our cell membranes, as regulating our levels of inflammation, these longevity pathways that I talked about in my book, Young Forever, like mTOR, AMPK. It helps mitochondrial function, which is key to longevity, aging. Seems to have benefits on metabolic health, on inflammation, and also fatty liver, which is pretty amazing. It affects 90 million people. It also has great side effects like better skin, hair, and nails, which is great. And people who are listening who want to learn more about it, you go to Discover C15 to get the product. You go to fatty15.com and you can actually get the product. And for those listeners today, they get 10% off of their order. So that's great. And Stephanie, your work is just really, really important. I think it's also exciting to see other scientists picking up on the work that you started. And this is really how we validate science. It's not just one study by one group. It's multiple studies by multiple groups looking at widespread effects across different health systems. And that's the beautiful thing about these natural products. They're not like a single drug, like in a single pathway. Like if you take an ACE inhibitor for blood pressure, it blocks this one pathway called ACE, or angiotensin converting enzyme inhibitor, and you get this particular effect, but then there's also side effects. This is actually works in a what we call pleiotropic way, which is works across many, many different health systems, many different biological systems that all are necessary for regulating health and aging. So I think it's great. I really think it's great. And the discount code for people listening is I think it's Dr. Hyman 10, so people can get that in there. And I'm so excited for the work you're doing. I'm excited to learn more. And thanks for doing the work you've done and being the scientist that sort of discovered this incredible new beneficial compound that we need to be taking. So anybody listening, go check it out, fatty15.com. Stephanie, any last words about where you see all this going?
Oh my goodness, just exciting. Like you said, the world is turned on to C15 of science and physicians. And so being able to understand, we're over the coming year and two, I think we're really going to come to understand exactly just how essential C15 is to our lives. And so we'll keep everyone updated on Discover C15. And Mark, thanks for helping to spread the word.
My pleasure. Great to see you, everybody, and check it out, and we'll see you next time.
Great.
Thanks, Stephanie.
Bye.
Bye.